Okay, so picture this. You're lost. Like, really lost.
Oh.
Not just lost in thought, but like you're in
Right.
you're in some bustling marketplace, maybe in Marrakech. Sun's beating down.
Oh, yeah.
You're surrounded by all these unfamiliar sounds, and you really need a break.
Yeah.
You just need to find like a little cafe of a moment of calm,
Right.
a cup of mint tea.
Yes.
But your phone's dead. You can't read any of the street signs.
Uh-oh.
Your perfectly planned itinerary has vanished.
Oh, no.
What do you do? How do you even start to navigate this?
I mean, I think that feeling of being totally lost somewhere new is something we all experience at some point.
Yeah.
And it just shows how important it is to be able to give and receive directions well. It's a skill that goes beyond language or culture.
It's way more than just knowing your left from your right, isn't it?
Yeah.
So today we're diving into this English language lesson.
Okay.
But the more we look at it, the more we realize it's about so much more than vocabulary.
Like we're talking about spatial awareness, cultural sensitivity, even how our brains process information.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Even something as simple as where's the train station can be fine in some cultures.
Yeah.
But in others, it can seem rude or too direct.
Right.
Our source material actually mentions this. It talks about the importance of being polite, like using phrases like, could you tell me? Or would you mind?
Right.
But there's even more to it than that, I think.
Tell me more.
Well, think about this. How would politeness be different in a hierarchical culture versus one that's more egalitarian? Or a culture that uses indirect communication
Oh, interesting.
versus one that values directness?
That's fascinating. So, like, in some places, it might even be rude to point someone in the right direction.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
maybe you'd use landmarks instead, or subtler gestures.
Right, exactly. Even the layout of a city can change how we give and understand directions. Are the streets on a grid? Are there big landmarks?
It all changes how we talk about directions and how we picture places in our heads.
This is making me think about when I got super lost in Rome.
Oh, yeah.
I'm usually good with directions, but Rome, with all its little streets and ancient landmarks, totally confused me. I was too shy to ask for help because I didn't want to bother anyone.
That's interesting. Do you think it was just shyness? Or could it have been a cultural thing, too? Maybe in that context, being more assertive would have been better.
Yeah.
It's this weird balance between respecting cultural norms and making sure you get your needs met.
Yeah, that's a good point. So giving good directions is more than just the words we use.
Right.
It's understanding the context, both cultural and spatial.
And speaking context, our source material emphasizes visual aids when giving directions.
Right.
We naturally use gestures, we point, we even draw little maps in the air without even thinking about it.
And even those visuals would change depending on where you are.
Yeah.
I remember reading about a culture where they don't use left and right. They use cardinal directions based on where the sun is.
Oh, wow.
Imagine trying to give directions with north and south when you don't even know the city.
That's wild. It makes you question what's really universal in communication. Like even something as basic as directions is tied to culture, geography, and even how our brains work.
So how do we become better navigators and better at giving directions? Is it all just memorizing vocab and practicing those polite phrases?
Well, it's a start, but I think it goes deeper than that. You know, the source material mentions these interactive exercises.
Right.
Can't really do those in an audio format, obviously.
Yeah.
But it gave me an idea for a little thought experiment.
Okay, I love those. Which thinking?
So close your eyes for a sec.
Okay.
And imagine you're back in that market in Marrakech. You finally got the courage to ask for directions.
Okay.
And this nice vendor, they're smiling. They start telling you how to get where you want to go. But here's the thing. You don't speak the language.
Uh-oh. This can be tricky.
Exactly. Yeah. So what else would you rely on to find your way? What kind of nonverbal cues could the vendor use to help you?
Well, I'd be watching their gestures for sure.
Right.
Like, are they pointing? Are they trying to show me a landmark? Maybe even drawing a map in the air?
Yeah, good. And think about the stuff we often miss. Facial expressions, eye contact, even their tone of voice.
Right.
A furrowed brow could mean there's a tough turn coming up.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Or a nod could mean you're on the right track.
It's like our brains are wired to pick up on those spatial cues, even if we don't realize it.
Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
Researchers actually think people have different navigation styles.
Oh, interesting.
Some are landmark-oriented. They use visual markers.
Right.
Others are more route-based, so turns and distances.
Oh, that makes sense. And then there's technology,
Oh, yeah.
which has changed everything about how we navigate GPS apps, online maps. It's so much easier to get around, but
Yeah.
are we losing those natural spatial skills because of it?
That's a good question. And there's more and more research that says relying too much on GPS could hurt our ability to build mental maps and just have a good sense of direction.
I mean, it makes sense. If you're always following a blue dot on a screen, you're not really taking in your surroundings,
Right.
not looking at landmarks, not figuring out the streets.
Exactly. And I think there's something satisfying about using your own smarts to navigate your own observations, your own understanding of how things are laid out.
You know, this is making me realize that giving directions is almost like an art form. It's not just about information, it's about connecting with someone, understanding their perspective and helping them on their journey, literally and figuratively.
I like that. And it goes beyond just finding a place, too.
Right.
Think about those times you've given directions in a more metaphorical sense, like helping someone through a tough time
Oh, yeah.
or helping them figure out a new path in life.
That's powerful. So giving directions isn't just about point A to point B.
Right.
It's about helping someone navigate all the complexities of life.
Exactly. Which brings us back to the big picture. This source material started with a language lesson,
Right.
but it's really opened up this whole exploration of how we navigate the world, both physically and metaphorically.
And maybe, just maybe, being more mindful of how we give and get directions can make us better navigators,
Hmm.
but also more empathetic and compassionate people. I think what I'm really taking away from this is that giving directions is about making a connection. It's like we're sharing our own little piece of how we see the world.
And I think there's a vulnerability there, too.
Oh, yeah.
The person asking is saying they don't know the way.
Mm-hmm.
And the person giving directions is kind of taking on the responsibility of guiding them.
It's an act of trust, right?
Yeah,
And when it works, it's a good feeling for everyone.
exactly. It can even lead to some surprising connections. Think about those times you've chatted with a stranger
Yeah.
while asking for or giving directions. Those little moments can sometimes turn into really interesting insights or stories or even new friendships.
It's funny because the source material started with English directions,
Right.
but we've really gone way beyond language here.
Yeah, it just shows how universal this is. We might use words, gestures, or both, but that basic act of guiding and being guided goes beyond any one language or culture.
So for our listeners who want to become master direction givers, where do we go from here? What can they take away from all this?
Well, I'd say first, be curious about your surroundings. Pay attention to landmarks. See how the streets connect. Notice those little things that help you navigate your own neighborhood.
Like being a tourist in your own city.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you're giving directions, think about the person you're talking to. Are they visual learners? Do they like landmarks or street names?
Right.
Adjust your approach based on that.
And don't forget all those nonverbal cues.
Oh, yeah.
Like a gesture or a quick little sketch in the air can really help make a route clear.
Absolutely. And I think the most important thing is to be generous and empathetic when you're giving directions. Remember, that person is trusting you to help them. And a little kindness and patience goes a long way.
That's a great point. And I think that's a perfect place to wrap things up. We've talked about a lot today. From basic vocabulary to how this all ties into human connection and empathy, who knew giving directions could be so deep?
It just goes to show that even the little things in life can be chances to learn, connect, and grow.
So next time someone asks you for directions, don't just point and mumble. Take the chance to be a guide, a storyteller, a fellow traveler in this whole journey of figuring out the world. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. Happy navigating.